Marci. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. How is everything?
Everything's okay. Where are you? I don't even know where you are.
I'm based out of New York.
Oh, in New York. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just waiting for my co-host to join in, and we're gonna get started.
Okay. Okay. Who's
He's
your
based out of
co-host?
Canada. His name is Thaddeus.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto. I'm from Montreal,
Okay.
but I'm in Toronto.
Okay. Cool. 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 Marci, how you pronounce your last name? I don't want to butcher it while we live.
Warhaft.
Warhaft. I had it right. I had it right.
It's funny because I shouldn't even say it because it'll get into your head. But I've had people ask me, and then still when we go, they say Warcraft because like that's
All
what's.
right. So, Marci, I'm gonna play some sound effects to see if you can hear it. Okay.
Yeah.
How it sounds on your end.
I'm supposed to hear sound effects.
Yeah. 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 Did you
Nope.
hear anything?
Nope.
Try again.
Mm, Nope.
No, you didn't hear anything.
No.
One second.
Uh,
All right.
what's
What's up,
up?
Dad?
What's up? What's up? What's going on?
Marcy in the house.
Oh
Marcy,
shit!
this is
What's
Thaddeus.
going
That
on?
is Marcy.
Mar- what's up? It's Marcy, right?
Marcy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Marcy. All right, Marcy. Thaddeus. The
Nice to
go-
meet you, Thad.
yeah, the government name Thaddeus, but Thad. Yeah, what's up? What's going on, Jeff? We good? What's
Not
up, man?
much.
What we
Yeah,
got
we
going?
good. We good.
Good. I'm good. Yeah.
Right
You
on,
good?
good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
So we gonna get started and do a countdown. 30 seconds. We going live. Here we go.
Friday. What's good?
Hey, Saucy Nation. We are back. We are back, and we are back live. We are here on our YouTube channel. Also, we are on our Facebook Watch channel. And man,
What?
I'm your boy Jeff. And first and foremost, want to give all praise to the Most High, the house on God's Son, Yahweh Shai, who the word called Jesus Christ. We keep God first in everything that we do when it comes to the Saucy family. And I got my gracious co-host with me. You can say what's to the nation.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's your boy Young Dad. Good to see you guys again. It's fucking Friday night. What am I doing here? But I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm glad I'm here. So there it is.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we introduce our guests, first and foremost, you guys make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to us on Facebook as well. Also, we got some merch on Teespring, so make sure you get some official Social Conversations merch. Okay, and also we are sponsored as always. We got the Click A Vodka in the building.
Sipping ain't
Go get
easy.
you some Click A Vodka. Hit
For
that link
real.
in the description, and they can actually ship the bottles to your house. And also, we have other sponsors. This is Holistic Remedies. They
Mm-hmm.
have everything:
Mm-hmm.
CBD oils, body butters, and everything. Don't forget to
Mm-hmm.
use that promo code
Mm-hmm.
HR Meet Saucy at the checkout, and you get 10% off. All right, 10% off. Man, we got a special guest in the house.
That's not 30.
She's an author. Right. Man, we got a special guest in the house. She has a book out, a memoir. The Good Stripper is a soccer mom memoir of lies, loss, and lap dances. Very interesting, huh? Ladies and
Like that.
gentlemen, Social Nation, I would like to welcome Miss Marcy Handcraft to the building. What's up? What's up?
Hello, how you guys doing?
What's up? What's up,
I'm
Marci?
doing well.
Marci.
I'm glad to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 So, I guess let's get right into it. Let's get to the forget the bread and sandwich. You try and get into the meat real quick. Let's right into the meat real quick.
You hungry,
Tell us
Jeff? It
tell
sounds
us
like
about.
you hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry, man. I think I need a steak or something. You
All
know,
right, what we got?
I try to get to the meat. You know what I'm saying?
What's
Damn the vegetables.
going
Okay,
on?
I try to get to the steak. So,
What
Ms.
we got?
Marcy, man, tell us about yourself. Let's start with the beginning before we get to the present and the future. Tell us about the beginning. Tell us about your household. How did you grow up and everything? Where did you grow up,
Ooh.
and how was growing up?
Okay, well, I grew up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Um,
Ah.
mhm. And I'll tell you that my childhood at the very, very beginning was great. Like on paper, everything was great. I sort of middle class, I guess. Two parents. I was the baby of an older brother, older sister. Very loved. I felt very safe. I was very encouraged, especially by my mom, to like speak out against anything. So I always stood up for what I believed in, and I always danced and like to perform, and I also played sports. So I was really confident. I was a very confident kid, but also very opinionated, not intimidated by anything or anyone. And then when I was 10, my parents got divorced, and my father left, and
Mm,
that was shitty because he didn't want to be a father. He'd sort of left my mom to raise three kids on her own. But it
mm,
wasn't traumatic because my mother was spectacular. And
mm, mm,
my brother, who was 5 years older, was amazing. And I always describe him as the invisible armor that I wore out in the world. My mother was my
mm,
safe place to come home to, and my brother was the invisible armor that protected me and was just what he was, what my father should have been, I guess, like
mhm,
the sun, the moon, the stars.
Yeah.
My
mhm,
life changed when I was 17, and my brother got
mhm.
sick, and he died
Mm.
when I was
Oh,
17 and he was 21. And
oh, shit.
Sorry.
he was ill at the end, but I was protected. Like the rest of my family didn't sort of want me to worry. And so I was literally writing an exam in school when he died. Like I just did not see it coming. And that completely changed my life because
Mm,
I saw that bad things happen, that suddenly I didn't feel safe in the world.
mhm,
And I also felt
mhm,
that he deserved to be here more than I did. I felt that he was a better person than I was. I felt that he would do more for the world than I could. I felt that people needed him more
mm,
than they needed me. And
mm,
so my self-esteem just dropped. And I felt like I had to be, if I was going to be here instead of him, I couldn't be average. I had to be amazing. And I didn't
mhm,
feel like I never felt for the next 25 years that I was
mm,
ever good enough to be here instead of him. And then within a
Mm-hmm.
year, so take that year that I'm going through this trauma of my brother died, my mother had remarried
mm.
like right after he died, and my stepfather turned out to be a bank robber who was, yeah.
What?
Um,
Jesse James in the house. What's going on? No.
well, pretty honestly, was
What?
he was he told us he was a caterer. My mother had
Really?
met him through friends, and he was with us for about 2 years, and he would cater a church breakfast every 2 weeks. So we'd have to get up very early in the morning
Oh,
and be
wow.
out all day cooking, and then be out all night cleaning. And what happened really was he was robbing banks every 2 weeks, and he was caught in the act. He had robbed 47 banks at that time. They
What?
called him this,
Wow.
yeah, they called him the satchel bandit because he carried a little bag with him.
Digging
And
that.
he got, yeah, and he got the max, which is 21 years, but I think in Canada you serve a third. So that was right
Yeah.
after. So that was a lot to kind of do. And then my mom got sick. And my whole
Mm,
the foundation under me was just gone. And I
mhm,
I developed an eating disorder because again, I felt like I had to be, the only thing I could control was my life. And so I developed severe body image and eating disorder issues. And that is how I went into the next. So the first part of my life was great. And then starting
mhm,
from 17,
Mm-hmm.
it completely changed. And I
mhm, mhm,
moved to Toronto and ended up getting married too early. And from there things got life was like, oh, you thought that was nothing. And life
Mm-hmm.
just kept throwing just trauma after trauma after trauma at me
Mm-hmm.
until it was too much, and I kind of broke, and I developed something called traumatic overload, where you just can't handle trauma anymore and you almost dissociate, and I became almost two people for a bunch of years. And
Mm.
that's sort of what happened. That's what I wrote the book about.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
My next question to you, while you
Can I hold on? Can I
yeah,
comment? Can I comment? Tell me, Jeff. Can I just
yeah,
comment
go
for a
ahead, go
second?
ahead,
I just first of all, just rewinding all the way back to the Quebec, right? That area. Is that where they eat the poutine? Is that what that is up there? Is they have
Oh, if
that
you're
up
gonna
there?
say it, if you're gonna say it right, which no one
Yeah,
does,
no,
it's
I know I won't. So
poutine.
correct me,
get
Poutine.
it
please.
right, man, get it right.
Yeah,
I
Pretend,
promise.
it's
pretend,
poutine.
pretend. Yeah,
Poutine.
pretend. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's from that
Yeah,
region, right?
that's
Correct.
Quebec.
Okay, okay. Wow, no, it just sounds like a lot of trauma. It really does. I mean,
That's
that was
and
for
that's the beginning. They just got
that's
worse.
just a bit. That's what I'm saying. I mean, look, the loss of anyone is traumatic. I've had loss in my family, and it just is. I mean, it will spur people. It'll take you on paths that either go on yourself or have no or go on involuntarily. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so,
Hmm.
wow. So yeah, I know that was just the beginning, and I'm sure that you had, you probably have a volume in you, with the things that you've gone through that I've heard so far. So yeah, I'm excited to hear more. Yeah.
Right.
And what was your
So my
question?
next question, yeah, yeah. So my next question is, what? Because it's hard, like you said that like, it's hard to lose a loved one. I just lost a loved one myself with my cousin.
That's
Mm.
tough,
So
man.
it's
It's hard
hard.
to
It's
lose
hard
people.
to get. It's hard to get over that sometimes, and
Absolutely.
it's hard to think about life without that person. So my question to you is, what was that one thing or many things that actually got you through that process?
I'll tell you, I don't. If anyone who knows me would say, I don't know that I have. I mean, I don't think that
Hmm.
I will ever. I feel like it's when you lose somebody that you're so close to. I feel like it's almost like losing an arm, because you learn how to go on and to do. You can do almost the same things, but it's
Hmm.
different and it's more challenging,
Right.
and it's not there. You can still live your life, but it's not the
Hmm.
same. So a few years later, actually I was pregnant with my first baby when my mom died. And again, she was a single parent. I was extremely close to her, and I was not prepared. I was 28 years old, pregnant with my first baby. Did not expect to be a mom without my mom. And I can't honestly say that I've gotten. I still need them. I still need my mother, my brother. I will tell you that what I
Right.
do though is I started many years ago, maybe 25 years ago, where I have this tradition where on their
Hmm.
birthdays and on the days that I lost them, I do random acts of kindness. So I'll go to a coffee shop and I will prepay anonymously for 10 people's coffee. Or I'll
Hmm.
go to a drive through and buy something and I do it in their memory, because it's
Hmm.
instead of
Right.
mourning their death, I celebrate their life, because they were so full of life and love that I don't want I don't feel to honoring them to marinate in the misery. So I
Hmm.
try to find ways to focus on talking about them, and finding fun ways to remember them. And that helps me. That helps
Hmm.
me through. But
Right.
I don't think you can ever I don't listen, I'm not one for cliches, and I will tell you, I don't think time heals all wounds. It makes them a little bit less painful at times, and then there are things where it could be 30 years later and you hear a song or you have a memory and the wounds
Hmm.
are open again. I mean, grief
Hmm.
is, I find that the deeper you love, the
Hmm.
deeper you hurt, right? And
Hmm.
that's, I guess that's the
Right.
what like I always think, maybe if they weren't so amazing I wouldn't miss them so much. But I was lucky enough to have such amazing support that what's going to come of it is that I am going to feel cheated, that I
Hmm.
don't have them anymore. But I'm so grateful that I did have them,
Hmm.
and so that's what I try to focus on.
Hmm. Yeah. Hey, yeah, hey, absolutely. Yeah,
Right.
I think the more the more you give, to those that are here, when we are loving them, the deeper it does cut. When they are gone, and so again, loss is tough, and I don't think ever heal. You know, I think, you know, you forever are fucking bandaging yourself up, you know what I mean, and tourniqueting yourself up. And sometimes, you know, when the scab comes off, it's a little tougher at times, you know what I mean? It kind of ebbs and flows, you know, you just have to learn how to deal with it. It's almost like this fucking pandemic that we're in, you know, people better get ready, get used to the mask, you know what I mean? So, because it may be here, I'm an old head, so I ain't gonna fucking run to my cave, I'm gonna have to adjust, you see what I'm saying? And so, you know, I applaud you for doing that, man. But no, it never does. It never does totally go away. And so, yeah, kudos, you know, for you for doing that and for putting your story out there. Because there's some people that they run and they, you know, and not to that, you know, I'm not blaming the victim at all, but, you know, you got to really be, you know, vigilant, you know, for yourself at those times, because it can drag your ass way down.
And it did. And that's the thing. It did for a while. But it was, what I found was, by sharing my story, I got it out. When you keep it inside, it's just doing damage. It's just causing, it's making you sick inside. But when you get it out, it's scary, because then you're putting it out there for people to judge, but the judgment isn't going to hurt me. It hurts. It does more damage to me, my secrets and my pain. That does more damage to me when I keep it inside. When I let it out, it doesn't hurt me as much. And so I think that's something that I know a lot of people are afraid of telling their stories, but I think that it's the fear that causes so much more damage than actually letting the secrets out. And I wish that we could feel more supported as a society to tell our truths. But that's what I do. I guess I'm there doing it so that other people can maybe feel safe doing it too. At least with me, you know, I release it and then people talk to me. At least I'm a safe place for people who know that I won't judge, who know that they are safe to share their story with me, because I've done it.
Absolutely.
And I always preach that all the time. If you don't feel comfortable actually going to therapy and like that, if you can find like a close friend or a close family member that you're actually close with, and this that you actually trust, like you just said, you can actually vent to them, and that can get whatever that's on your mind for that day or been bothering you for a while. Is actually therapeutic to actually talk to someone, because everybody needs someone to talk to. I don't care who you are.
And if you don't, though, some people don't even. Yeah, well, that's true too. Or meditate or write. Like, I find, honestly, it's a tough thing people do. But just even if you get it out on paper, just get it out of here and get it out of here and get it out of here. Like, just get it out somehow. Otherwise, it's holding you prisoner. You've got to let it go. You have to release it.
It eats at you.
But it does. It really does.
It eats at you, man. It does. It's like an amoeba or something like that. What am I talking about? Amoeba? I don't even know what the fucking amoeba is. But it's like but it is. You know what I mean?
But it is. It's like a bacteria. That's just. It does. It destroys you. Absolutely. And we're so. But why is it that we don't let it out? It's fear. It's fear of being judged. It's fear of people. Of people not of going to somebody and saying it and them not wanting to hear, because other people, there are plenty of people who are uncomfortable with other people's grief or other people's shame or other people's story. People are going to, so you have to find the right people. And if you talk to somebody and they don't take it in the right way, don't let that turn you off of talking to people. You've just chosen the wrong person. And that's not saying that there's something wrong with them. People are only capable of what they're capable of, right? If somebody isn't capable of being there for you, well, you just need to find somebody who is. And keep looking. But yeah, you gotta get it, because I think what happens is too, when we keep our stories inside, we think we're the only ones that have done certain things, or the only ones that are going through certain things, and that feeling of isolation makes things even worse. So when you tell people, you have no idea. I had no idea when I wrote the book how many people would message me that I've never met from all over the world who are saying, I've been through this or I've been through that. And you realize, oh, I'm not alone with this. And that is comforting. So you can find support when you speak out. There's the possibility of finding support where you never would have even thought to look.
Absolutely. You empower people.
So you mentioned that. Right.
You can, exactly. Not even just by telling your story, you can empower other people.
That's right. You empower people.
So, yeah. After your mom died, you was pregnant. So
what's that?
What is going through your mind right now? So you said after your mom died, right?
Yeah.
That you was pregnant and you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, how? First of all, what was the first thing that went through your mind when you was pregnant? And and how did you deal with it going forward?
After I lost her. Well, the thing is, so I was married at the time, and I had two miscarriages by this point. So I'd already been through two losses. And so I got pregnant again for the third time. And I told my mom, I was living on the other side of the country. So I had moved at this point. And so but we still spoke like 3 times a day. She was very, very excited about the baby. And she really had a good feeling about this one. Like she really felt that this one was going to be okay. And I had gone for my first ultrasound and everything was okay. And then I got a call from my sister, who was in Montreal. And she said, you have to come in now. And I said, I'm coming in at the end of the week. I was already going in to show her my ultrasound pictures. And she said, no, you have to come in like today because she's dying. And I was, what are you talking about? Because she didn't want to tell me she was sick again. She had breast cancer because she didn't want to stress me out after having 2 miscarriages. So she was trying to protect me. But it was the same way they tried to protect me when my brother was sick, right? They didn't tell me how sick he was because they wanted to protect me, but then I was blindsided when he died. And this was the same thing. So I flew in to Montreal and I got to see her for maybe 24 hours before she died. And I couldn't let myself complete. Yeah, it was an awful feeling. My sister and I it's 2:00 in the morning. We're writing her eulogy and I'm pregnant and it was just not okay.
Very
but
surreal,
at the same time, horrible. And at the same time, I couldn't let myself fully feel it because I was pregnant, right? And I was afraid of the stress that it would cause. So I had to concentrate on being okay for the baby. And then what happens is, it's kind of crazy. She actually saved my baby's life because what happened was there was negligence in her case. She had a very arrogant doctor who had seen something on a mammogram, didn't tell her about it, and she had to fight to be tested again, and he messed up majorly. And her message to my sister and I were, if you feel something's wrong, fight for it. Don't let anyone tell you that you're crazy. Don't, it's you. Absolutely. You fight for your body. Your body. And so my mother had passed away. It was June. I was due in November, and now it's September. So it's just a couple of months after she died. And I felt something was wrong with the baby. I just felt something. He wasn't a big kicker, but he was a swimmer and he just wasn't moving. And I just knew something was wrong. And I went to the hospital and they told me, no, you're fine. They said, I'm like, something's not, I know. And he was like, you're being neurotic. I'm telling you, you're fine. They said, if you go home and if you still feel like this in a week, come back. So I went home and I cried the whole night. And then I remembered my mother, her advice was, you fight for what you believe. I went back the next day. I spoke to a different doctor. He checked me out. He said, something's wrong. We don't know what. They did an emergency C-section and he had lost 75% of his blood when they pulled him out. There was a problem. And they had said, if we had waited an hour, not a week, an hour, we would have lost him. And they were still, like, we didn't know when he was delivered. They said that he was white, but not blue. So that was good. But we didn't, it was touch and go for a little while. So, but it was her lesson that made me go back because the doctor said, don't come back. And I did. And so, and then he was great. I mean, he was perfect, but even that, like, I remember sitting in the hospital thinking, you're in the maternity ward, but your baby's not with you because he was in the NICU. You hear all the other babies. And I'm like, I remember thinking, what did I do in a past life? Like, what horrible person was I that I have this kind of, that I can't even enjoy giving birth. Like, I can't even have a good experience with this has to be traumatic. So, but then I had to sort of get my shit together because I had this baby to take care of. And then, oh Lord. Okay. And then I have to laugh because it's, you laugh or cry, right? So
absolutely.
My son was doing great. And when he was about a year, I found out I was pregnant again and everything was going well. And then at about 5.5 months pregnant, I started to not feel well. I had some really bad pain in my stomach. And long story short, I had developed like a bronchitis and I was put on antibiotics, and unbeknownst to me, the antibiotics I got something from when you take an antibiotic, it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills good bacteria. and it let this other bacteria grow. And I ended up in the hospital for 2 months with kidney failure and respiratory failure and pneumonia. And I got the super bug, the MRSA virus that you get in the hospital. And I was put on a ventilator for 2.5 weeks and eventually needed tracheostomy and had surgeries. And they gave me a 25% chance of surviving. And I lost the baby because he just couldn't hold on to what was going on through everything. So that, and then, so I had to learn how to walk again and talk again and breathe on my own. And that was devastating. And I had a 16-month-old, my older son was 16 months old at this time. And I hadn't spent a day away from him. And now I was 2 months away, not knowing when I was going to get out to be able to see him. And, but then I survived, clearly, and had to go through, again, I couldn't let myself completely feel the loss of that baby because I had this other baby at home that I need to focus on him. I need to focus on getting healthy. So again, it's all this grief that I'm not really getting a chance to deal with also. But then, so then we moved back east to Toronto, and I decided I want another baby, even though my doctors are like, are you crazy? But I get pregnant again, and I have another miracle baby, and he's great. So I have 2 sons. But at this point, and I'm not going to get into too much because you're going to have to read the book. But at this point, my marriage took a turn, and my partner at the time took a bit of a turn with me, and he wanted to open up our marriage, and I didn't want to. In the past, he'd brought it up, and I didn't want to. At this point, I mentioned I had been through physically, emotionally, so much trauma that I knew something, I wasn't feeling myself. I even called my doctor back west and said, something's not right. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating a lot. I'm sort of hyper. Something's not right. And he was like, no, it's just pregnancy. But I became very susceptible and vulnerable. And at this point, my sister and I had had a falling out. So I had no family left. I just had my husband. And like I said, he kind of changed on me and sort of, I believe manipulated the situation where I wasn't as feisty or strong as I usually was, and was still feeling very insecure. I was still dealing with an eating disorder, still dealing with body image issues, even though I was super fit and sort of obsessed with that. And we opened up our marriage, and that I started to believe I served 2 purposes in the world, which was one, to be the best mother I could be, because I really, losing my mother young, almost dying myself, it was so important for me that every memory that my kids had was like amazing, and that they felt loved every second of the day. And that was so important to me. So I felt like that was one part. But then I felt, as far as my worthiness, the only thing that I was good for was as a sexual object. And so I started to seek sort of love and validation through the sexualization of my body. And that was through, for a few months, I danced. I worked as a stripper. I didn't sleep because I was with my kids all day, and I would go to the club at night and I would dance and get home. And I was the only dancer that had didn't drink, and I had a power drink. I had my little protein shake in my locker, because then I would go to the gym, the 24-hour gym, and work out, and I wouldn't sleep for 2 days. And then I sort of got into this whole sort of promiscuous kind of life. And I was living this double life as this, trying to be the perfect mom, but all that way, but then also just being this sexual object and kind of putting myself out there for whoever gave me attention. And I wasn't cheating. My husband knew about it. I mean, I wouldn't have crossed the line if he hadn't suggested it. But it took a toll on me, because you can't last. Because like I said, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating. And I was abusing my body, like, and I wasn't doing drugs. It's amazing. I didn't take a drug. I didn't have a sip of alcohol for the years that I was living this double life. It was just, I was running on trauma. But it nearly destroyed me, and I had to pull myself back out of that.
Absolutely. I got to get the book. You know what I mean? I really do. I mean, it sounds like a lot of things that's going on, and it takes a resilient person to to get through all that, get through the gauntlet of things like that, and still be vertical to talk about them. So kudos to you. I'm serious because people like you are inspiring. You know what I mean? I hope they get the book, and a lot of times you can read some things kind of transfer better with a different medium like in person. So if they can get to the book signing or tune into some things like this, I think you get the bonus. You get the book, but then when you get the woman, you get the bonus. And so hopefully people will tune in and really get it. I know I'm going to get it. So
It's a quick
I,
read, and I don't
okay,
hold back. I mean, that's one thing I'll tell you is
okay.
that there are a lot of people who told me that, especially people who knew me, who said it,
Mm.
they felt like they were reading my diary, or they felt like they were in my bedroom, and it was very like they shouldn't be there. They shouldn't be reading. It was I decided if I
Okay.
if I was gonna write it, I was gonna write it like and there were times I'm telling you I'd be typing and I take
Hmm.
my hands off the keyboard and go, can I say that? I don't know, can I say that? I'm gonna say it, you
Absolutely.
know. Um, so so because I want I'm kind of a go big or go home kind of person.
Exactly.
And if I was gonna do it, then I'm not gonna hold back. Like, what's the point? Because you
Exactly.
know what? If I didn't tell it all, then it would tell me that I still feel shame,
Yep.
and I don't feel shame anymore. And
Yep.
my book is dedicated to anyone who's struggling to forgive themselves for the mistakes they made when they were just trying to survive.
Yep.
And that's how I see it.
Love it.
I did make mistakes, but I was doing my best to get through
Hmm.
some very difficult situations with very little support. And so we can only do the best we can at that time. And now
That's
I would
all.
do much better, but we have to I always say now it's not about, you can't punish yourself for your struggles. You have to be proud of your survival. So it's
Hmm.
not how we got there that matters.
Mm.
It's just the fact that
Right.
we got there that
Hmm.
matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel you. I
Yeah.
feel you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So so you're stripping now. There's a lot of trauma going on.
Yeah,
You say you have an open marriage. Did you feel like that you
primary.
was being forced to do that, or
No, and
you
I need
or you it's something that you wanted, but you didn't want at that very time?
no. So I wasn't forced. It's very important for me to say that. I wasn't
Okay.
forced. But I never would have. It wasn't what I wanted. I didn't feel loved. I felt that if I wasn't lovable, then at least maybe I could be desired, and I would get my self-worth from that. Do you know? And so it
Absolutely.
became the only way that I didn't feel loved at home. And so, but if other men were desiring me, then I can feel that I'm worth something, even though when I was with other people it made me feel shitty. I felt in
Right.
control very briefly, and then I would punish myself oftentimes, and it makes no sense, but oftentimes I would be with somebody, and then I would be with somebody else just to prove to myself what a horrible person I was for what I was doing. It was like I was so bad that I had to prove that I was bad by
Hmm.
continuing to do bad things. Like, but I didn't have
Right.
anyone
Right.
there to help. Like, it just, I was so alone,
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
and again, I wasn't sleeping, and I wasn't eating, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I had just been through, I mean, we're talking, I got out of the hospital in, I think, March of 2000. My younger son was born in 2001, and so this all started in 2001, the sort of the change in my marriage. So I was only, I just learned how to walk again, and I still have scars from major surgeries, and within a
Right.
year, this is what's happening. It's a lot. It was a lot, but um, so it was. But I did have this weird sense of control, I guess, because I felt like it's my body, so I can do what I want with it, and it I was a really messed up sense of control. I wish that the rebel in me would have said, fuck you, I'm not doing this, and moved myself out of it. Instead, I was going to be like, oh yeah, you think you have control? watch me. And it was just, it wasn't good. And it did nearly destroy me because,
Yeah.
you know, it did. It, between the eating disorder and between that and the guilt that I felt and the terror, like the fear that, I mean, my kids were toddlers at the time, and I was horrified that somebody's dad would be at the club and see me, or be at the swingers club when I was with my partner and they'd see me, or that somehow it would get to my kids. Like, I'd be walking through the grocery store and afraid that somebody would see me and say something. Like, it was just not a way to live. And again, I felt like I was a bad person. And I felt like, oh, my mother and brother would be so ashamed. And I didn't have anyone there saying, no, you know, you deserve better, or so it really did. I started seeing how I was affecting other people, and I got myself out of it. But I'll tell you this, it was a two-parter, because I got myself out of the situation. And again, in the book, I do talk about the things that I did. But after I got out of it, I did change my life, and I went into recovery for my eating disorder, and I got healthy and physically healthy and mentally healthy. And I became a body image advocate, and I created a program where I took to schools, and I was the anytime there was something in the news about body image in kids or dieting in kids, I would be called to speak about it in the media. Like, it was my thing, and it was great, and I was helping people. But I had never processed what I had been through. I had never processed how I had survived, and I started to feel like a fraud. I was still afraid that I would be speaking on TV about body image, and somebody would see me and know my past, and I had this imagination of, like, somebody calling the station and saying, "Oh, well, you don't know who she really is," or somebody's wife calling. Like, I didn't know, and I was terrified, and I felt like, again, I had never accepted what I had done as just my way of coping. And so I crashed again. And still, my marriage was not in a great place. We were doing our best for our kids. But I kind of relapsed into my eating disorder, and I started to feel like I honestly believed that I shouldn't be here anymore. I believed that, again, that the world, that I was taking up space and resources that I didn't deserve.
Right.
And I started to wonder if it was my time to go, if it would be better for my kids if I just wasn't here anymore. And that went on for a while. And then and it was bad. And this is only 6 years ago. Like, this isn't a million years ago.
So this is recent. This is not 20 years ago. This is actually recent.
Right. So the craziness that I did was 20 years ago, but the sort of it coming back and me not
coming back again.
Yeah, my self-worth was so in the gutter, that's how I started. And then I had this really sort of interesting exchange with a woman at the grocery store who saw something in me that I thought was gone. She just saw a light in me that I didn't think was there. And seeing that through somebody else, I sort of went, wait. So maybe I'm not done yet. Maybe there's something in me still. And I actually credit my mother with that. Like, I feel like if I didn't have her at the very beginning, kind of telling me that I'm great, you know, that I'm worthy, that I think she planted that seed before she died. And
Absolutely.
It was good to grow again. And then I realized, okay, you know what? This isn't where my story ends. I didn't go through everything I went through to have it end here. And I decided to fight my way back and to get healthy again, and to leave my marriage. And that's what I did. And since then, everything's completely changed. And it was just last year when I wrote the book. And it was last year when I just decided I was turning 50. And I felt like, if I can't be completely me now, what the hell am I waiting for? And I was still hiding sort of parts of me. And I thought, what am I doing? Like, I don't want to hide I don't want to be ashamed of any. Nobody can shame me if I'm not feeling ashamed, and nobody can come up to me with anything from my past if I'm the one. Now somebody says, "Hey, I heard you used to." I'm like, "Yeah, page 112. Read it for yourself." Like, I literally have an open book, and it's been completely liberating. And it's funny. There's a quote. It says something like, "Once you ruin your reputation, you're free." And it's true. Like, what? So what? There's nothing. I already said everything. So
Mhm.
it's just an
Right.
incredibly liberating experience.
Hey, I call that the etch a sketch effect, right? You know how you have an etch a sketch, right? So you have an etch a sketch and you're drawing with your little fucking wheels and all that, right? And then you go to try to draw something different and you never can. You got to shake that fucker up. You got to shake, 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 shake until it's all clean. And you can't go really any further until you clear the slate. You see what I'm saying? And that's
Hmm.
what and that's what you're doing. That's my
Right.
etch a sketch effect. You clearing the slate so you can start anew. And if somebody else come up, oh man, this, that, and the third, yeah, like you say, page 54. Shit, I'll read it to you. I'll quote it for you. You know what I mean? So that's
Exactly.
that's what's happening. You really
Right.
can't
Right.
go on, and that process, that process takes place when it takes place. Everybody has a different exit point, a different entry point. You know what I mean? It really is some Twilight Zone shit. People say, you say you just had your birthday and all that, happy belated birthday. You see what I'm saying? But when you come to term, it's when you come to term with with ripeness and all that. It's a different fucking century for everybody. If this century ain't yours, maybe the next one will be. You know what I mean? So you got to just continue down that path, whether it ebbs and flows and all that. Because, like, again, you wanted to give up. Hey man, no, your mom, your kids, nah, not a fucking good look. I got to really dig down and pull my ass up out of this. You see what I'm saying? And to put it out there is the biggest fucking fear in the world. But once it's behind you, everybody can suck a fucking ass then. You know what I mean? You done. And you can just roll on. You know what I mean? And that's
That's
where
it.
you are. And that's where you are. So I'm kudos with you. I'm on the train with you.
Well, that's the thing, and you
Exactly.
truly,
Yeah.
and that's when you really don't care. I mean, look, you've seen my Instagram. I think, like, I dance and I lip sync and I'm ridiculous, but I don't care because it makes me happy, and
Yep.
and that's what, especially now when the world is brutal,
Oh,
that
fuck
if
that. If not
that if
now,
you can
when?
find, you have to
Right.
find some joy. You have to find whatever it is that brings you a little bit of joy. And for me, it's putting on music and dancing like an idiot. But that that is my, and I will post it, and I get so many people who are saying, that they love it. And I know that there are plenty of people who are going, again, for sure. But I don't
Absolutely.
care. It's it just doesn't matter anymore. And that's the thing too. It's, if you can get to that point, if you can really get to that point, when the only validation you need is your own, when you know you're a good person, when you're not hurting anybody, but when you're just living your truth, there's it is it's this the I haven't felt safe in my life since, like, the day my brother died was the last time I felt safe. But now I feel safe because I'm comfortable with, I know I'm going to be okay, because I for
You,
the
yeah.
first time in my
Mhm.
life, I like who I am. I can't control what's out there, but at least I can look at myself in the mirror and be okay with that, and that's huge.
It is.
Absolutely. 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 My next question, for you is, everybody has a breaking point, right? So
Hmm.
when, so what was your breaking point, and, like, to say to yourself, like, you know what, Marcy, I need to get my shit together. What was it? Was it one thing, or was it multiple events that, like, I need to get my shit together?
Oh, I think that's happened a dozen times in my life. I mean, seriously, like, because there's been so many different things. I honestly, there have been so many
uh,
times. I think the first time was, like I said, where I was living in that crazy life, many, 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 many years ago, and it was it was really brought to my attention that my actions were hurting other people. That I didn't really realize that. I knew I was kind of hurting myself, but I didn't really care at
Mm,
that point. But I realized that my actions
right.
were hurting other people, and that I couldn't accept. I couldn't do that, and so that was the first thing that kind of made me go, okay, I need to make some changes. And then,
mhm,
and then the second part was, like I said, it was where I was driving home, considering driving my car into, an overpass, and then
mm,
getting to the grocery store to pick up binge foods to just eat and cry until it was time to get my kids from school. And this woman at the store made a comment about how every time she sees me, I have such a light in me. And I'm like, who is she talking to? Like, what? I had to stop 10 times in the store just to, like, remind myself to breathe and not cry.
mhm,
But she was like, no, I see. And I'm like, what is she seeing? And it was that I went home and I cried, and then I didn't cry again for like 3 months, because I was like,
mm,
that's it. Like, this is it. Like, I'm getting my shit together. I didn't know what it meant exactly, but I knew that this was
Right.
it. It was time. It was time, and that's what it was. But since then there have been so many little things, because leaving a marriage when we got married at 24. I hadn't lived on my own. When I was married, I was living. I was embarrassed to say that I was living like a 1950s housewife. Like, I had never paid a bill. I never
It's
did
Cleaver.
anything, and
Mm.
so well, kinda. But when I
Wale.
left, I had to learn everything. And that
Exactly.
was terrifying. I was learn like I've been through more than, let's say, a lot of people have. However, in some ways, I'm learning things now at my age that people have known how to do for years, because I just didn't. I didn't know how to do. I just never did it. Like I said, I never paid a bill. I had to learn about finances. I had to learn.
Hmm.
There was I it wasn't I was in my okay, this is crazy. I was in my 40s when I would put gas in my own car, because I thought I was too stupid to figure out how to put gas in the car.
Mm.
So I wouldn't even put gas in my own car. Like, that's how bad my
Wow.
self-esteem was.
Hmm.
And then I go from
Mm.
from that to living on my own, to having to do and again, I didn't have parents, I
Everything.
didn't have family to
Mm.
support me. So I'm learning how to do everything on my own, and it was
Hmm.
terrifying, but it was so exciting, and I was so hopeful, because
Hmm.
I felt like in some ways it's easier to stay in a difficult situation because it's what you know, and
Hmm.
there's a weird sort of safety there. But for me, I saw it as possibility. I
Hmm.
wasn't scared of what was coming, even though I didn't have any idea. I don't plan 5 minutes ahead. I really don't, because life has told me, what are you kidding? Like, you could try,
Hmm.
but it's not gonna. And
Right.
I just know I'll be okay. Whatever happens, I'll be okay. But I
Hmm.
like the idea of possibility. I'm more comfortable. I've discovered that my safe place is like not a safe place. Like, my comfort
Hmm.
zone is to not be in a comfort zone. If I feel
Mm.
like things are too, if somebody says, okay, do you want to know what your next 10 years? I don't want to. I like the idea of being open to whatever, to possibility. That's how I thrive, I think.
I think there's things in life, various things in life that causes us to pause, and or and serves as like epiphanies for people and shit like that. And for me, this whole COVID thing, and I think it just really it shook something up in me, and I didn't change. I didn't try to shift shit. I'm not, I wasn't feeling seismic going into it, but my plates are fucking shifted, and I I'm aware of who I am, so I'm aware that they shifted, and I'm ready to fucking guide the ship. But it is a
Mm.
situation where I really don't give a fuck who doing, saying what, or doing anything. I'm gonna do me. See what I'm saying? I'm gonna be the best fucking Thad I can be. And so, well, once you do that and you leave it all on the table, there's nothing else you can do. You know what I mean?
That's it.
That's all you can do. You got to leave it on the table. You know what I mean? You got to leave it
And
out
only
there.
you can decide. And only you can decide what the best that is,
That's
right?
right.
It's not the best that in somebody else's opinion or
Nope.
through somebody else's eyes. Only
Nope.
it's just you. It's just,
That's right.
it's like you say, I'm you're not me, I'm not you. So
That's right.
once people start realizing that, start understanding, hey, you're not me, I'm not you,
Yeah.
then things get easier. Your life doesn't have to make sense to anyone but you.
Exactly. And
Right.
then when you start being your true self, those naysayers and all that, you'll find out that either they'll float away from you or they become fucking fans. You know what I mean? They're like,
Exactly.
wow, look at this person, look at them, you go. They your biggest cheerleader because they see you doing what they want to do. And they haven't reached that point yet. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So,
Right.
that's the way I see it, man.
Absolutely. I totally
Absolutely.
agree.
Yeah. So like 20 years ago, um, nobody on this earth was talking about mental health. Nowadays, everybody's talking about mental health.
It's still hard
Hmm.
to get help, though.
My right. It's starting to get help. Person told me that your mind is the only thing that can actually trap you and release you at the same time.
Ooh.
Hmm. How about that? I like that.
So yeah. So my question to you is, how day to day, how are you dealing with your mental health, and what made you come out and actually express yourself more, and to tell your story more about because you went through a lot of trauma, and if you would have had like some certain help, certain resources that we have now, how you think your life how you think your life would have turned out dealing with mental health at an
I
early
think,
stage.
yeah, well, but here's the thing. I think, so I was seeing therapists during this. I mean, so it wasn't that I didn't
Okay.
I was seeing that, but I think the bigger problem is it's society. I think I could talk to somebody and have somebody I trust and talk about certain things, but my fear was still about what other people were going to say. I had still had so much fear over being and how it would
Right.
impact everything else. So I think the
But
fact
everybody, yeah.
that because people are, and they don't, it's like I said, now that I speak out and I have people who, because like I said, there's so many different aspects of my story that people aren't coming to me saying I went through everything the same, but people have been through loss, people have been through relationship stuff, people have been through body image stuff, people have been through different parts of it. And that's where I think the help
Right.
comes from, is when you don't feel alone. It's when you feel supported, when you say I did this and someone goes, oh, me too, and you realize, okay, I'm not alone. I think there's a lot to that. I think, as far as what I do now, look, I think I did great the first part of this pandemic. I was okay, like I was all right, and then it's a lot, and it's not. I'll tell you, in my opinion, it's gonna, maybe this will sound ridiculous, but the worst part of the last couple of years that we've been through. I mean, it's the pandemic and death and all. It's horrible, but I think what's been worse for me, what's been the most disheartening, was seeing the hate and the selfishness and the violence and like all of that, like how I just such I lost faith in humanity, like the viciousness that we've seen.
Right.
We've seen we've seen the worst of people, and because we're doing is we're attached to our
Right.
screens and we're just seeing awful, and that to me was really tough and still tough. But it's also creating so much change now. It's such a time of change. It's insane. Like I think in a few years when we're kind of it's gonna be amazing. I think because we're going through such a change in so many different ways. Um, but I think what there were days when it's been really tough, and and I live on my own, and it's been, quarantine was, I had two birthdays in quarantine. I mean, it's tough.
Wow.
Um, so,
Right.
but so I think it's a conscious effort sometimes where I'll wake up and I know, okay, like you gotta focus on positive. That doesn't mean, listen, there are days when I know, oh, this is going to be, I'm going to feel it today. And I let myself feel it. I am not somebody who's like, you woke
Right.
up today, so you're blessed and be happy and don't feel sad.
Right.
No, like
Right.
there are days when you need to feel it. And if that means sitting on the
Absolutely.
couch and
Right.
eating friggin' cookies all day, then that's what you should do. Knowing that the
Right.
next day you'll have the strength to do something else. But like I said, I dance every day. I'll go out. I'm lucky enough to live where there's like near trails in the woods, and so I'll go out and do that.
Oh
But
yeah, we
it's
see
it's
it on
it's
Instagram.
it's that, yeah, exactly. It's the balance of letting yourself feel that you need to feel it, and then finding the joy in the other days. But it's that
Absolutely.
it's that
Right. Right.
it's that balance.
I mean, you have to be in it. You know what I mean? Life is about being in it. You know what I mean? I have a teenage son, and I always grab his leg, and he always like, man, what are you doing? And I'm like, I need to feel you. You need to feel me. You know what I mean? Touch is real. You see what I'm saying? I love Steve Jobs and everything they did with all the iPads and iPods and all that shit. But that shit started to pod us off. You see what I'm saying? We on a fucking podcast right now. You see what I'm saying? And so, no, we aren't really meant like that as human beings. It's to be potted off. We're social beings and all that. And so when they start potting us off, that's when, people start melting down. That's why people that go to prison are so fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So in this climate where we are like potted off and all that, we have to do something. You better do something. Otherwise you'll succumb to yourself. That amoeba will start to be at your ass. You know what I mean? And so it all depends on what you do with that energy. You know what I mean? And again, it could go, it's a fork in the road. We just had Thanksgiving. Everybody's had Thanksgiving around the world. You fucking pull the wishbone. Which end did you get? Which way are you gonna go? It's a decision. It's a fork in the road. And for those that didn't take, the right path, ain't no telling what's gonna be at the other end. Like to say, this thing has brought out the worst in people, and it's brought out some of the best in people. And so, but you have to feel. You know what I mean? You got to be present, but you got to be present for all of it. You got to be present for the good and the fucking bad. You just can't be sitting up eating the ice cream and leave the peas. You got to eat the carrots and everything. You got to be across the board with that shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. But then you also have to. There are times when you have to know that it's okay to take a break. Like there are times when
absolutely.
I know that you don't want to be like, no, nothing's happening, nothing bad's happening. But at the same time, you can't overdose because you can't. Like you can have information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just coming. And there are times when you have to go, no, like now I need to just zone out. Now I need to not have all that information. And so it's
Right.
that, but it's like a moderate diet, right? You can't have only ice cream and you don't want to have just peas. So you gotta know how much to have of both.
Gotta have that balance, that equilibrium. Gotta have that balance.
And sometimes you gotta be more of one and more of the other, and that's okay.
No, and that's okay. It really is. It really is. It really is about, it's about really loving yourself, to tell the truth. We always say that we love our family and we love our kids and all that. And we do. I know I do. But if you don't love your fucking self first, you really can't do anything for them. You know what I mean? It's about self-love.
Self-love, yeah.
Yeah, it's about self-love. And if you don't have a crown, get your ass a crown. You a queen, you a king. Act like that. You know what I mean? And it's really not about a physical crown. It's about how you feel about yourself. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes, like everything, all crowns will rust. So you got to polish this shit up. You just can't let that shit just sit there and think it's going to gleam forever and ever and ever. No, you have to put some work in too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they say, if somebody who's miserable to other people is probably just miserable. You can't be really happy with yourself and be miserable to other people. Like if you're having a great day, if you're feeling great, then you're going to be nicer to the people that you come across. If you're having a horrible day, you're just not going to be as nice just because you're feeling lousy. So it's just like you said, if you take care of yourself, whatever that means, but if you're taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, psychologically, then you will be better. You'll be a better person out in the world. So we have to take care of, and we lose sight of that. We think we have to be the best work-wise or for our family, but we neglect ourselves, and that just sets everything up for disaster. So you have to it's that whole, there's a lot of self-care talk, but it is really important because if you take care of yourself, what is the thing that they say on a plane, right? If the oxygen mask comes down, put on yourself first, and then you help, because if you're helping other people, you can't, you're going to, so
everybody's
you have to
gone.
take care of yourself first, and then you'll be of service to other people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My last question for you, Marci, is your book.
Yes.
Yes. So when did you actually oh, there it goes. When did you actually come up with the idea of writing the book? And what was the process of actually writing a book and actually getting it out to the world?
So it was quick. I always knew I wanted. I always thought it'd be great if I could write a book. I just didn't think I could because I thought, it's a big undertaking, and I wasn't really a writer. I didn't think I could do it, and my life was so crazy. I thought, I had a therapist once say to me, it would be a great book, but nobody would believe everything happened to one person. And this is before half the things happened. So I just didn't know. But then I had friends who were like, you could really help people, and you should do it. And I thought, again, I think I was turning 50, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And I had no book deal or anything. But I needed to get it out. I didn't want to die without getting my story out. It was just something I needed to do. And I wrote it in about 7 months. And I just literally would write. That's all I did. And I would write through the night because there were times when I didn't want to stay in that part of my life for more than a day. So I would write until 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I was in physical pain when I was writing. Like it was a lot to a lot of trauma to revisit. All the wounds I
Yeah.
healed, I opened because I wanted you to
Absolutely.
dig deep. I wanted you to feel what I felt. I'm not just telling you the story; like I'm bringing you with me in the story.
Right. Right.
And then I got lucky enough to have it picked up by a publisher, and it was published. I finished writing it. It was December 31st, and then I got the book deal in February, and then COVID hit, like right before COVID, and I thought, but it came out. It came out last year, and yeah, it's changed my life just in the fact that look, it's weird. It's weird. I'll tell you, at the beginning was very weird when people would message me like through social media, people I knew, people I didn't know, and say, I ordered your book. My first thought was, wow, great. And then my second thought was, oh my God, they're going to get to know me really well. Like they are going to know. And
Yeah.
like
That's the scary part. Yeah.
it's still a weird feeling when you know people, because like I said, I don't hold back.
Yeah.
So it's pretty in
I
your
can't.
face with things. And so it's, you get, there's no, yeah, there's, yeah, you'll know me pretty well after you read the book. But it's just for me, like I said, I'm kind of at this point of my life. There's more years behind me than in front of me, and I'm going to live my life as loud as I want to. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you're
So
a round of applause for that. Round of applause. Marcy, Miss Warcraft, you have a cool story. You are now officially a Saucy alumni. So anytime you want to come back on the
Woo!
show, just to stop by, be a part of our panel, and talk about just life, to talk about mental health,
Awesome.
politics, or whatever, relationships and stuff like that, you're more than welcome to come back.
I love
Um,
it.
what can you tell Saucy Nation where they could get your book?
Yes. So again, it's called The Good Stripper, a soccer mom's memoir of lies, loss, and lap dances. And you can order it off of Amazon. So you can get it
nice.
hard copy or in Kindle. Yep.
Got to get that.
Gotta
Absolutely,
get that.
the link
We get that.
down in bio. So make sure you go out and support Marcy. That is anything you want to say before we get out of here?
It is, Jeff. Check this out, everybody. I'm a part of the Saucy family, right? First of all, get Marcy's book. This is gonna be hot. I know I'm logging on to get it, and I hope I see you so I can get me a signed copy and all that shit, right? But I'm still part of the Saucy
Absolutely.
family and all that. But I got a house. I got a little apartment over on YouTube, right? Because I do poetry, right? And I finally start doing something with it. I got a lot of pieces, and I got some things over on YouTube. Look up TF and Crowns or 16-ounce soul. The shit is dope. I got another one coming out tomorrow, and the shit just gonna be flowing out. I'm biased because I wrote it, but the shit is dope. Part of the Saucy Conversation family. Jeff is in the fucking videos, and so you will see it. Marcy, tune on there.
I'm gonna
Subscribe.
guess.
Yeah, push that shit on
Send
the
it to
people.
me too, so yeah.
Jeff,
Oh, I
can you
will.
send?
I send it to
Jeff,
you.
can you send the shit? I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I'm
Yeah, I
biased,
send
but
it.
it's bang. I'm biased, but it's banging, and this is what this climate has did for me. So, Marci, I'm glad you was here. You further inspired me. You see what I'm saying? Because again, if not now, then when? You see what I'm
Right.
saying? It really
Yes.
is, and this cliche is right. It's either now or fucking never. And I ain't gonna, I'm going to my grave trying to do some shit that I want to do. So I appreciate my man Jeff. I appreciate you, and go and get on that shit. Like I got a spot dropping tomorrow. Subscribe at like 7 o'clock. It's called the Movement Advisory. The Movement Advisory. It's the shit, and you'll be seeing more of it. Jeff, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. Marcy, get on the channel.
I will.
Jeff, push that shit on out. I'm gonna get on. I'm gonna get a and we're gonna keep this thing rolling.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm actually put the link to your channel in the description below. Make sure,
Hell
Saucy
yeah.
Nation, make sure you actually spread the word about the podcast. We appreciate everybody who actually tune in and actually subscribe to all the platforms we on. We appreciate the love and support. Our followers is up 28%. So we appreciate you. We're gonna put out more content. We haven't put out more content in a while. Everybody doing their own thing, but the Saucy family is getting back together. We're gonna be pushing this content. Um, More content going forward. Make sure you shout out to our sponsors. Make sure you go and support our sponsors. Click a Vodka. Shout out to them. Shout out to everybody over there. Shout out to Holistic Remedies. Yeah, don't forget to Actually, use that promo code HRME Saucy. Shout out to Fernice. Shout out to Matt, the rest of the Saucy crew, Saucy family. Don't forget, we are having our own 24/7 TV network streaming service. Okay, that's coming next year. I know I don't have a date, so stop asking me about it, right? But we getting everything together. So once we get everything together, then I'm gonna make the big announcement. The trailer is coming soon. So if you want to be a part of Saucy Nation TV, right, just hit us up, socialnatetv at gmail.com. Podcasters, independent movie directors, anything that you do. If you want your content on my channel, on my network, hit me up and I will give you all the details. All right. So don't forget to get some official merch, social conversation merch on Teespring. Don't forget to follow all our social media pages. Don't forget to follow me at Jeff Owsley on Facebook and Smash in General on Instagram as well. And we appreciate everybody. We see you on the next one. We see you on episode 8. Peace and love, y'all.